Welcome to Study Buddy, meditation philosophy for the heart of your practice. This is a live online discussion of ancient yogic texts amongst meditation practitioners in the Shambhavananda yoga tradition. My name is Acharya Satyam, resident teacher at Konalani Yoga Ashram in Hawaii, and I welcome you with love and respect. Hello. Never not awkward. All right. Let me just switch to gallery mode. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Derek, this is going to be your Thursday. It's great to see you here every week. Way to go. Anju, welcome back. Good to see you. Hair's looking really good. Jairam, don't be a stranger. Jairam's doing a little online seva for us, as is Marcella. Hey, Marcella, thank you for all that. Janani, welcome to the book club. It's a fun time. Looking forward to having class with you. Gita and Yogita representing. How's it going? All right, cool. Well, as you know, tonight is our final installment of the reps video. And tonight is like an 18-minute interview with him that is super fun. And we'll talk more about it when we get there. We're going to start with some movement. Remember, doing my best to guide. You do not have to do what I'm teaching. Modify everything that you want to modify, go in a different direction. I don't need to see you on the screen, but if you can see me, it could be helpful. Doesn't have to be that way. But to start, we're going to start standing today. Cool, and we're going to start with just some light bouncing. So this is going to last longer than you want it to. So we're just going to bounce, and the idea is to just sort of say hello to all the micro muscle movements involved in bouncing. And here's the thing about bouncing. Everybody takes it for granted. You think it's easy, you don't even try, and then when you try to do it for about a minute, you start to realize there's something more to this. So focus on it. Actually, ask yourself, how's this going? How am I bouncing? Does it feel like it's accessing your whole body? The goal with bouncing is that it's not really coming from your head. It should be affecting you. So, you know, there's a natural style. It's an organic aspect. And then just slow it down. And then a very easy shake. A very easy shake. This is, again, something we really take for granted, but actually takes a good bit of practice to be able to do. We'll come back to both of those things at the end of our little yoga session. So roll the shoulders a few times. Good. We'll take a little bit wider than hips width stance. Rock into your feet and check out your feet. Which way are they pointing? You can allow them to point relatively forward. That second toe is a good indicator of forward. And then just rock side to side. As you rock side to side, you might want a little bit wider stance, right? It might just naturally widen on its own as you rock. And you get into your thighs, and then just pausing for a moment with the knee bend. Relax the arms, relax your shoulders, and draw your attention to the pelvis. So I can tell you, even right now for mine, there's a little bit of a rock forward in the pelvis. I tend to have a little bit of a tight low back. Maybe you do too. But I'm going to play with the rotation of the pelvis. So tilt it forward, tilt it back. Keep your hand on that low back. You want to feel that the spine ends up in a relatively neutral position. So you rock, micro rocking forward and back until you feel like, yeah, that's a little bit of an arch in the low back. Pelvis isn't flat yet, it's tilting just slightly forward. And then from here we can bring the hands to the heart for just a final moment of centering. We have our feet placed, we have the weight down into the legs. The pelvis is naturally supporting our spine, shoulders roll back. And see if you can bring the breath down to contact where the heart and the hands meet. Now you can bring those hands down to below the belly button. And see if you can bring the breath all the way down to the navel. And then relax the hands. We're going to scoop them forward. That keeps the shoulders relaxed. And then start to tip the pelvis forward as you round the spine and allow yourself to waterfall forward with the spine. Fingertips find the floor, and we just draw some circles with the hips. As the hips draw circles, they move through the legs, they move through the feet. You can feel the hamstring say hello as your hips go back. You can feel the weight shifting in the feet as they go forward. And then just rocking forward and back a few times. A little bit of a deeper knee bend. Feel the feet pressing the floor more and more as you slowly start to round your spine up. But keep your attention in your feet and feel the feet rolling you up. It's that downward force through the earth. And you get to the top, shoulders roll up to the ears and back down. And last thing we'll do before we change our stance, just sort of reach the arms back behind you. You can just reach back or you can interlace the fingers. As you interlace the fingers, try to draw the ribs in. They tend to flare, so it's a little bit of a tuck with the ribs as you reach the arms back. Bring your attention back to the pelvis. Pausing here for a moment and just feeling the openness across the chest. A little bit of a work in the pelvis. There's some engagement in the glutes here in order to keep the spine relatively neutral. And then we'll bend the knees and slowly bow forward. The arms can release or they can continue to reach up until you naturally want to release fingertips, but you can play with that. Hands find the floor, and we're going to walk our hands down and find ourselves in table. From table, just revisit one more time your pelvis. Tucking tail a little bit, lifting tail, finding those two sort of polar opposites, and what's in between them, a neutral pelvis. I'm going to go 3/4 so you can sort of see me a little bit better. And we'll awaken the deep core with a gentle slide back of your left leg. And then in through that leg. Unweighting, sliding back right leg. Try to feel any reaction in your abdominals and that knee comes back in. Back to the left, sliding back, and then just sliding right arm forward and pausing here and feeling the pressure through the hand that's supporting you and the knee that's supporting you. Feel the connection across the midsection. And we'll come back in. Opposite arm and leg, very slowly glide, and the goal here is actually to feel the response in your abdominals and then pausing. Feel the way you're supporting yourself through the floor. And back in. We'll bow down for a breath in Bhaktasana. Welcome to stack hands, forehead on hands, and breathe into the low back. Hands come forward, shins kick down just like our feet did. The pressing down of the legs will naturally roll your body back up to standing on your knees. Shoulders roll back a few times. Just like before, we can bring our hands back, interlacing. Let's interlace the other way so that feels like the awkward finger on top. With the hands by the glutes, you can sort of prepare the front of the body with a little bit of activation across the front. And then as you extend the arms even a very little bit, feel how the front of the body has to continue to work to keep the ribs from sort of flaring open. And you might also notice that slight tone in the glutes. Those glutes are pulling down on the back of the pelvis, keeping it from tipping forward. And so this very simple action of just reaching the arms back a little bit is actually enticing you to have abdominal and glute tone. Two things, a number of us could use more of in our day. We'll release those hands back to table for a second. All right. So from table, we're going to bring one leg. Let's do the left leg first. You're going to glide your left leg back. And now, before we had the left hand and the right knee supporting us, we're actually going to tip over a little bit to the right hand and right knee can support. And you're going to pull the bow back as the left arm comes up overhead for a supported side plank. And just feel this lateral edge of the body supporting you underneath. And then you can lengthen that arm slowly next to your ear and feel the lengthening of that lateral line on top, stretching, extending as the line below, the lateral line below is supporting. Slowly fanning that arm back up, and it can continue that circle till it finds the floor underneath. And we'll just go right to the other side. Left hand and left knee support you, right leg reaches back, and then pull the bow. And just like a bow, if that left hand was pressing through the floor, it would be holding the weight of that, sort of the work of the bow, pressing forward. And then extending arm, feeling the two opposite actions on the lateral edges of your body. Tracing that circle until the hand finds the floor again. And then here we'll do a staggered down dog. So one leg's extended and one knee's bent. And you just sort of elevate the hips and just notice your experience. Dropping the knees back down. You can lift the foot into the air. So you're in sort of a three-legged table. And then a little bit of pressure up through the heel can bring some activation to the glute again behind you. But pay attention to your ribs and feel a little tone across the midsection. And just do that set one more time on your own. The foot finds the floor, elevate into a staggered down dog for a breath. And then the knee finds the floor, and we press the heel up as the abdominals, I guess a word could be compensate. They sort of support you from underneath. You can draw both knees in, sit back on your heels for a second, just absorb before we do the other side. The arms can once again come behind if you like, optional. As the arms down and back, the abdominals have to draw sort of down and in. Shoulders are relaxing away from the ears as the mid back awakens and the shoulders can release their grip on the day. Hands release. Draw some circles before we finish in that last position. And just two more of those sets. So we'll come back through table. Your left leg will reach back. Your right toes will tuck under. And you elevate to a staggered down dog, sort of focusing on that extended leg behind you. The knee finds the floor. And then keeping the pelvis and ribs neutral, the glutes can help to press the heel upwards. And just play with that set on your own. And actually, I'm sort of feeling one finale here, which is that knee that's underneath you. Let's swivel that knee, and we'll finish with pigeon. And so the knee swivels a little bit, and it's got to be a muscular swivel. Don't just point it where you think you should have it. The back knee finds the floor. Fingertips support you. Legs draw together as if wrinkling the floor between your legs, and that inward pull of the legs towards each other lifts the heart. It helps to extend the front of the hip of that extended leg. And there's a hidden and sometimes not so hidden stretch of the glute on the bent leg. Shoulders try to relax down the back. Neck floats. And we can plant, come back in any way you want. I'm going to come through plank. Other knee's going to come forward, and then finishing with pigeon on the other side. So we'll drop the back knee, flatten the foot, tenting fingertips, legs draw towards each other to lift the heart. And as always, there's going to be an extra minute for you to restore or to add in another posture. So you're welcome to do that now. I would recommend you're right near the floor if you're rolling, but take your last minute. Start to make your way to your seat. All right. So very, very excited to have this last portion of the reps video with you all. Afterwards, hopefully there'll be some time there will be some time for journaling and discussion. But I would like to say that using the actual video as an opportunity for meditation is highly recommended. This is an interview with, I don't know who's doing the interview. I don't know the people he's sitting next to, even though you're like, oh, those look like people from the ashram. I don't know. But nonetheless, what you might notice in the interview is it starts as an interview. And I mean, it concludes as an interview, but there's like, you can feel reps doing sort of some teaching in there where he can sort of feel like, hey, we could connect at a deeper level, and you might sense it on your own. And so I invite you to connect at a deeper level. Let yourself be quiet inside, let your mind be quiet, and just use this as an opportunity to make that connection and to sort of rediscover the simplicity of our practice, the joy of our practice, as Babaji and Faith have always said about their interactions with reps, that he always came around to remind them about how simple, fun, and natural it is to practice. So as always, I'll look for thumbs up to guarantee that the tech is working as planned. So we'll begin now.
Everybody obeys their
So you're going to ask me a question?
My first question I'm going to ask you is one I know you've been asked numerous times, but I'm going to repeat
Is it on?
Yeah.
Is it on?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. Reps, what is Zen? How would you describe it?
Oh, Zen is a word. It's a buzzword. So it's very alive. So anybody with a Z in their name buzzes themselves. So it's a buzzword. It stimulates. So it doesn't make sense because it's zzz, zzz. So how do you feel if I zzz you?
Could it be any word?
Yeah, it could be any word, but it's a word, and we have in the universe collected words. Words mean right and wrong, and name of a city, or name of an area, name of a person, or name of a Buddha, or name of a God. And so God has many buzzwords. But so these words get magical, and thousands and millions of people follow these words. So Allah is all. Allah. The word is really Allah. It's U-G-L. Allah. That's the name of a God for the Muslims, you see. But if you say it, no, Darla, yeah, that's it. Again. Now say Allah. You say it. Allah. Yeah. So you see, it's a buzzword.
So what are you trying to communicate with that word?
I'm not trying at all. I'm trying not to try. So the light's shining in my eyes, so sometimes I put my hat on when this way,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What am I trying to communicate? If I'm trying to communicate something, I'm an adult. because no cats or dogs do that. They just communicate. So if I answer intelligently, I'm an adult. And then if I'm an adult, well, I'm stiff. That's that's the case against the adults by children. Children react against an adult because they want to play, because the child is more flexible than the adult. So the adult is partly dying off by his stiffness. You see? Pardon me for telling you about adults.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Oftentimes people try to communicate or not communicate the Zen by koan. Must this be communicated through paradox?
Well, the koan is to make a puzzle in your mind so that you stop thinking and start thinking inside. The koan is, you got to feel it and you got to ruminate it or feel about it and think about it. So they have these words or these stopping think ideas, and those become called koan. You're not supposed to solve it with your mentalation, but with your heart. Or you got a whole situation. If you're going to dive, you watch these divers in the Olympics. They really think a little. They stand on the platform and they know they're going to dive. And that, in that sense, they're thinking. But when they dive, they do it with the whole being. So the Zen koan tries to get the guy or the girl to act with the whole being. So if you can act with your whole being, you're like a diver in the act of diving. But when you watch the diver when he stands on the thing ready to dive, he's thinking, I'm going to turn this way or I'm going to turn that way. He sees that. Yeah. The koan is the idea. That's just their idea.
So what we're really talking about is an experience, not a thought.
Yeah. So you dive into your own dive. So the diver is showing us both thinking and action. And when he acts with the whole being. Not only the heart, everything. Isn't it so? Yeah. So we're really, if he took all his clothes off, he'd be naked. He's almost naked anyway. Divers are. But nobody gets shocked at that. But if he took it all, he'd be completely naked. And so when he dives, he's completely naked of thinking. See? The whole body is going into this particular dive, which of course he's rehearsed hundreds of times. Yeah, it's very interesting. The mind of the diver. So so even those people who practice what they call Zen, their mind is thinking, but then they dive into their whole being. That's pretty good, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's the connection between Zen and Buddhism?
Zen was a radical spin-off from Buddhism. Buddhism has thousands of philosophies, thousands of words, and thousands of books, all stored. But Zen said, away with the books, we want to dive. So they dove or dive in themselves. When they dive in themselves, they have solved the life problem the same way the diver solves when he jumps off the springboard.
What was it in your own life that started your interest in Zen?
Oh, what started my interest in Zen was that I befriended a Zen man who came from Japan, and that started my interest because it's very interesting to contact the Oriental who has some idea because they don't explain it. It's inexplainable. So it's very interesting to try to get somebody to explain something we can't explain. You follow that? Yeah.
To Westerners, it seems so foreign. How would you tell them it was different if you were trying to explain?
Well, it's different in the sense that the Quakers were silent people. They'd have a meeting, the Quakers, who were Christians, and they're all sit together. And if somebody got a hunch or an inspiration, he'd talk it, but they only talked from hunch or inspiration. So there are many religions and many philosophies, but they don't hunch it. They think they go back and sit in their bedroom and hunch it up and then bring it forth. But the Quakers were silent people. So the Zen people also are silent because there's so much philosophy of Buddhism that they wanted to get away from that and act it out and realize it. So they became silent. So it became a kind of silent state.
These hunches, they are the best verbal representations that we have of what Zen is as an experience.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Your voice is very considerate and very gentle, you know. So you have ideas about Zen, and you're asking me ideas about Zen. Yeah. Okay.
Is sitting a cornerstone of Zen practice?
Sitting is a cornerstone of Zen practice.
Is that
Did you hear what he asked? Sitting is a cornerstone of Zen practice. Beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. The answer is yes. But it's an intelligent question. So you can go beyond intelligence and have more fun. But the question is wonderful, beautiful question. But it's intelligent. So now if you have an unintelligent question, you're scratching Zen.
I can be Zen standing on my head
Yeah,
while it's sitting.
of course. Yeah. But the Zen people don't stand on their head. But the headstand in India is a great way to flood the brain with more blood. I think you can shake your head and get more blood in the head. I think so, but if you bow down, put the head lower than the heart. You kneel down, put the head lower than the heart. Where the blood from the heart floods in the head, and you get new brains. So we should always do that every day. Bathe our brains with more blood, and you do it by getting the head lower than the heart. Is that clear? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You find that the hustle and bustle of industrialism is an impeding to Zen.
There's what?
And impeding Zen. Does it make it more difficult to practice or be?
Yeah, the Zen people who come to this country don't know why people should be rushing around so much. It's impedance. It's a good word, impedance. I never heard that word before. It's accurate, isn't it? Impedance. I have been impeded. Yeah. So eventually our motors will get so smooth that they won't vibrate when they run. And then everybody will become quiet. The reason people are not quiet is because they're tolerating the motors in the refrigerators. And the small motor in a refrigerator is very noisy. So if I keep brewing you that way, the way the refrigerator does, finally you'd say, "Oh, stop that! You're annoying me." You would say that. So, but the American woman is so loving and so gentle, she tolerates that buzzing in the refrigerator. It should be shut off. Nobody needs a refrigerator anyway. What's the idea of having a refrigerator just to refrigerate cooked milk? Because the milk is totally dead when it's cooked. And then you got to put dead milk in a refrigerator. Ridiculous. Or they think, well, I bought a lot of cheese, so I put the cheese in the refrigerator. The refrigerator is usually out of use, but that motor's going all the time. So that motor destroys the home. So the divorce, trouble, action in home is all due to noise of the refrigerator motor. And nobody realizes that. Is he in the picture too? Not so. Oh.
It changes.
Oh.
We move the lens in and out like his design and
Yeah. Beautiful design.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is from the heart. So the heart is raying out in different places, but the heart is the center of the blood system. A heart is a motor too, so you should never do anything, but just sit quiet. And then the heart quiets down, and it motorizes and floods the whole body with blood. And that's going on all the time as we breathe. The whole body is being. The heart is a motor, but when you listen to the heart, it's much more subtle than when you listen to the refrigerator. But the American people are good people, but they're ignorant. They're extremely ignorant, and they don't know how to listen to the heart, and they don't even know that the refrigerator motor is destroying their peace. Well, you say, how can a little noise destroy my peace? It does it by buzzing. It's just a little, even if you think you can't hear it, it's affecting the body and its vibration. If you stop and listen right now, there's a motor going. What it is, we don't know.
Well, I know what it is.
What is it?
It's the refrigerator.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why should we give power over such an enemy? We should be the ruler of that enemy. So the refrigerator is destroying our peace. And now we're all going to be quiet for a whole minute. To be quiet, I'll put my hat on. You see, now we're all quiet. But we're not quiet because the refrigerator is one. So it buzzes and buzzes and buzzes. So you say, well, that doesn't matter. I don't listen to it. I just listen to your words or something. But you have to listen to it because it's shaking you all the time. See? So here's a beautiful room with beautiful people and beautiful art objects, but the people are so dumb they don't even know about the motor going. So shame on them. And so we all should go and look in the refrigerator and see how much it's preserving for us. What is it doing for us? It's destroying our peace. So you can't realize Zen with a motor going that way. But the Zen people say you shouldn't object to a motor. You shouldn't object to anything. You just be yourself. That's the answer to my attack on refrigerators.
So one could be then arranging flowers, shooting a bow, or listening to a refrigerator.
Yeah, but better to arranging flowers or shooting a bow and not listening to the refrigerator.
Right.
Because if you don't listen to the refrigerator, you listen to your heart, and the heart's always speaking. And if you run upstairs, the heart goes faster. Or if you say this, the heart changes. So everything in a relationship, the heart is changing. Or if you're surprised, you say, oh, and then the heart changes. Just to the one word. So the whole life is music. It's silent music all the time.
Just taking a few minutes right now to sit. There might be a refrigerator running in your room or an air conditioner like we have in ours, and so be it. See what you make of that. I'm sure you have plenty of opportunities to sit in perfect silence as well. But just try to find that heart motor that Reps was talking about. Essentially, the challenge is being able to tune in, being able to tune and direct our awareness. Feeling the breath and the heart amidst external stimulation is essentially the Shambhavi mudra we seek. As Rep said, let yourself be unintelligent for a moment. Let meditation be an intuitive process for you for a moment. Try to not try for a moment. Practice contentment for this last minute, trying to be with your breath. In previous portions of the video, Reps continually asks, why are we all worrying so much of the time? And it's usually because of what he says, desires, because of our wants, the things that we feel like we need. So don't need anything for just a minute. Don't need anything at all, and see if that helps you find the present. As you open your eyes, the senses, start to draw us out, but let yourself remain in that state as we put pen to paper for just 2.5 minutes or so, um, trying to be unintelligent for a moment and reflect on your experience. It could be about this lecture from Reps. It could be about your experience in general with this month. Buzzwords, trying not to try, divers in Zen, jumping into their being. letting yourself finish the thought that you're on. As always, taking a moment to reread what you wrote, underlining a keyword or phrase, and then we'll start adding that to the chat box to inspire discussion. Thank you. Reminder, it can be fun to get your put your setting into gallery mode for this part of class. Okay, understanding you are okay. Great. Just getting those thoughts in the chat box. We'll start our discussion. Just a moment. All right, let's read through and then start up. Here we go. Dive in light. Inner richness. Transcend. Contentment. Diving into the experience of living. Understanding that you are the kitchen, not the refrigerator. Jumping into my being. What is the refrigerator mind good for? Listen to the beating of the heart. Jumping into my being. I find myself, joy and contentment. Human doings, human beings. All right. Just do this with your hand if you'd like to start the discussion. All right, Janani and then Derek. Go for it, Janani. No, it's your first. Yep, you're up. Go for it.
I just thought that was an instruction. Do this with your hands.
I see. I see. Well, do you want to elaborate on, let's see what your word was.
Contentment.
Yeah. So there's a moment of the contentment sort of spoke to you, or if you want to touch on anything else.
Well, I think that this, this interview with reps sort of just reminded me again of what Baba's been teaching us, to just relax into our lives, to just be in the present. And I've been experiencing that a little bit, and it's kind of surprising because I'm like a planner and a schemer and a schemer in the bad sense, but and I found myself sort of not having recently the desire to plan anything, just to, just taking care of business, whatever that business is on a daily basis, and feels like a huge relief. So contentment, just being content. It's really an amazing place to be.
Thank you. I think you really touched on one of the themes for the whole reps month. And I agree with what you're saying. Babaji's been touching on that in satsang, especially just this week. Not what is my next move? What's my next practice? What's my next? And how that itself is deflecting the experience we're seeking. So absolutely, I couldn't have encapsulated it better, sort of what these sessions have sort of imparted to me during this month. I think earlier in the session, Reps was talking about the distinction between thinking and being. Like if you're, better to be being than to be thinking. Derek, did you want to go in a new direction, or did you want to follow up on that? Either way.
Yeah, I too thought that you were just instructing us to raise our hand, but
Yes.
I'll just add kind of on a tangent what I was thinking. The refrigerator, kind of has this hum to it, right? Which is distracting, as Reps described it. And it made me think of the times that I'm in the meditation dome at Eldo, and there's this hum in there that is, it can get so loud at times while I'm meditating, but I almost seek for it because it gives me this sense of calm, and it's in contrast to the refrigerator hum. I don't know if that makes sense, but they're two different kinds of sounds, and yeah, one is distracting and can be annoying, and can just kind of be in the background, but there's this other beautiful noise that if you focus and let it, I guess, just kind of come into you, it's pretty amazing.
Oh, thanks, Derek. That was really insightful. And I know Jatila was like, "Is there a hum I'm supposed to fix in the
Yeah.
dome?"
No.
No, but I once read a study on in one of these like Stanford labs or somewhere where they had a chamber that was supposed to block out 100% of all sound, and you would go into this chamber, and there were still two sounds that you couldn't block out. Anybody want to guess what they were? Your circulatory system and your nervous system. Yeah, which is basically the foundation of like the ohm sound. And so no matter what you do, you still have these, like a rep said, like these motors running. So, but of course these motors, he said, like the heart as a motor is a very subtle engine and very advanced. So this one is not so distracting, of course, but no matter where you go, we're gonna find these distractions. And I think it's noteworthy for us to at least acknowledge that we're surrounded by these distractions. It's almost like the phones didn't exist during Reps's age. He didn't, see but he'd be talking about phones. And it's almost like we have to, I personally, speaking for myself, have to know what's going on here if I'm going to work with it skillfully. I can't just act like it's not going to be a distraction. You have to be like, this is a distraction. It's also a tool. Okay. So it's like, how am I using it right now? And so it sort of empowers us, acknowledging it in order to work with it skillfully. Because, I live in the ashram and we have a refrigerator, and at the same time, I think Reps is onto something with a refrigerator is literally a box of things that are no longer alive. And I'm like, you're right. There's just, I'm like, you're right. Hopefully we'll get to that point. Baba's got a great garden. We ate out of it today. Were the noodles from the garden? I don't know, but a lot of it was. Thanks, Derek. And we do have a microphone if anybody in here, is wanting to share. I saw a lot of diving into being coming. Yeah, Anju, go for it.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, like, kind of in line with that, like I'd written like inner richness, because it's kind of like that idea that like nothing is empty or void or something, but in the rare instances where I've actually experienced nothing. It's so full, and quiet is so loud. Like there's so much going on. And when you actually like put most of the focus inside instead of outside, like it's just so much of a richer experience of being. When the refrigerator noise is still there, I've got a fan running, it's loud in my house, whatever. But if I focus on that rhythm inside, like Derek was saying, right? Like that hum in the meditation dome, it's just like there's so much to explore and be in. And it's just, I don't know, a different way of experiencing life that's you're not getting tugged around by it anymore. And it's just, I don't know, it's fun to be in that space.
Thanks, Anju. I think that that line of yours, quiet is so loud, really struck me. I don't think I've ever really articulated that, but it's definitely an experience that comes up every now and then. And I think that's what Derek was describing too, that quiet is so loud of meditation in the dome. Or like when you're going on a walk in the woods at Shoshone, it's just very, or even I know like the ocean. If you ever fall asleep next to the ocean out here and you wake up, you're like you really hear everything because you've sort of like neutralized and sort of hear that undercurrent more. No, I'm glad I fooled a couple people into sharing. I'm definitely going to do that again. But if anyone else wants to share, we still have about 5 minutes left. Sure.
I will share this very rough draft of a poem that I randomly wrote during our little writing session. The whirring refrigerator within, ever and endlessly making noise, filling the din, rattling the mind in constant mess, transcend the heart mends, melding superficial with universal vastness.
One more time.
The whirring refrigerator within, ever and endlessly making noise, filling the din, rattling the mind in constant mess, transcend the heart mends, melding superficial with universal vastness.
Wow. Thanks, Marcella. That was art. Thank you.
It made me aware of things. I just finished cleaning my refrigerator and I didn't even notice them making a sound, And the other thing is, I didn't even notice that. And then I never listened to the beating of my heart. I wonder if it's, we always say in watching the breath. Well, you don't really watch the breath, you feel the breath. So maybe it's more like feeling than listening. I don't know.
Wonderful. Let's all take a moment and see if you're watching, listening, or feeling your breath. What do y'all think? What's that? One more time?
I think
The
it's
comment here,
feeling.
feeling. There was a comment
Feeling.
here that it was breathing my breath was a comment here. But just walk over. Sorry, it's just the best. and then I can zoom out.
Hi.
There you go.
That was really fun, Yogita. I felt like when I tried to listen or watch, it was sort of like that more impersonal, like observer state. But when I was feeling, it reminded me of what Reps was saying about like the diver just dives. Like it just made me experience like a oneness where it wasn't like cold and separate, but it was like felt like more and rich. So I like your preference for feeling as well.
Hmm. Just walk on up. This is Pietra. She's work study here at Konalani. There you are.
So yeah, it really made me reflect about what she said about feeling too in Abaya edit, about the watching that you have like this observer. It's kind of like you're not totally into it. You're not totally for me it's like the first minutes of meditation when you're trying to get in contact with this universal force and you're still reminding yourself, oh, breathe, breathe, your breath, you're just watching. And then suddenly you just dive into it. And that's when you integrate with your meditation and it just flows, where you don't actually think about time or how's your body feeling or anything. You're just feeling, like you Yogita said, not watching, just like incorporating all the pieces of the meditation. Yeah.
Hmm. So it sounds like you were sort of emphasizing that the practice might begin as watching or doing, but that it eventually becomes sort of self perpetuating. There's a force that you're
Yeah, like
really just. Mhm.
and then at the first minute, it's like I'm outside of the water, just like observing the water.
I'll try to. I'll tell you guys what she's saying in a minute. Go ahead.
And then suddenly you're in that space.
Hmm.
And then you're not really, sometimes you're not really thinking about it.
Yeah. So she brought back the diving analogy of the individual. At first, you're thinking, like Rep said, you're on the diving board, and then there's a thinking aspect, but it converges into being as you jump off the board, or rather as your practice starts to like actually gain momentum. And Reps described Zen as diving into your being. That's pretty cool. That is probably all the time we've got today. Let's see. Yep, looks like it is 4:01 here. Well, that concludes our reps month. I hope everybody had. Oh yeah, when's Rep's birthday? Anybody know? Okay. Marcella, isn't your birthday Rep's birthday? We don't know.
My birthday's August 9th, so I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I guess that's your homework. So we're concluding Reps month today. Really appreciate everybody, being a part of it. I hope it was as joyful for you as it was for us and made life a little bit more natural. Remember, it's a long time ago. We watched that thing about the sun and saying hello to the sun and, folding forward. Remember all that? So yeah, we will dive back into the being of the Vijnana Bhairava next week and which Reps translated, and that is sort of perfect that Reps was able to sort of jump into our work and reinfuse it with that joy and that lightness. So as we go back in to the Dharnas, it'll be right there with us. So namaste, everyone. Thank you for being here. Have a great weekend.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram, Jai Ram.
Jai